Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Duskmourn draft here on the channel. Huge shout out to Wizards of the Coast for giving me a free preview account in the early access event so I could get this recorded for you early. If you want to find more of an overview style video, I have a draft guide already made where I go through top commons, archetype overviews, and things like that. But for now, we're going to be diving in and starting off with a fantastic rare Balustrade Worm. I'm going to be making sure I hover over the cards because I know they are new and unfamiliar to folks. But this one is a 5-mana 5/5 trample haster. And then if you get Delirium, which means you have 4 different card types in your graveyard, like a creature, a land, an instant, and a sorcery, or things like that, then you can play 4 mana and bring it back into play with a finality counter. So that's really, really strong as a finisher. You don't even have to necessarily play it normally. You can have it go to your graveyard from some other means and then get it back. Other than that, Razorkin Needlehead is a little bit tricky to cast in draft because double red is a little bit harder to do on turn 2. So it's more of a 3 or 4 mana play a lot of the time. But making your opponent take damage whenever they draw a card is pretty good. And the fact they can attack well is also nice. I really like Oblivious Bookworm. I don't like starting with it over Balustrade Worm, but one worm is better than the others. Clearly, worms with W's are better than worms with O's here. But this card is also really nice as a card advantage engine. This is a good removal spell. And then the 5-mana red guy is also pretty good. I don't know what people are doing here. This card is pretty excellent. The way this card works is it's a 3-mana 2/3 with Death Touch. And if it deals damage to them, they take a bajillion damage. If it dies, it comes back with 2 stun counters on it. And so after those stun counters are gone, if it dies again, it'll come back with 2 more stun counters. So it's like your opponent has to trade with it and then kill it again. So it's like a built-in 2-for-1 that also just attacks really well, blocks really well, does it all. And is a really great card. So I'm surprised to see it passed here. They must have had another rare in the pack, or that's my theory. Patchwork Beastie is another cool card. So it's 1 mana and then it mills you every turn, which helps you set up Delirium. And then once you get Delirium set up, it's a 3/3. So pretty nice in the mid game as an automatic, already a 3/3 a lot of the time, or late game. But also just in the early turns helps set you up, and it can mill your Balustrade Worm, for example. If I wasn't taking the Slasher, which I just think is excellent, I would probably take the Patchwork Beastie. There's also Fear of Falling, so a big flyer that can shrink your opponent's creatures, and Defiled Crypt can do some stuff as well as a way to get creatures back and also reward you for having other cards that mess with your graveyard. Okay, we went green card into black card, and now we're confronted with a pack where the best card is not green or black. It's hard to imagine that Fear of Lost Teeth is going to be the best card in this pack. There's Horrid Vigor as the only green card, Fear of Lost Teeth, and Cracked Skull as black cards, though I don't love Cracked Skull. I think Fear of Lost Teeth is probably better. A bit of a synergy between them almost. It looks like a giant tooth is on a tiny little dentist's chair in this artwork. That's funny. There's also Seized from Slumber as a removal spell that I like. I think it's much better than Unwanted Remake because you don't really want to give your opponent the ability to manifest dread. You can cast this on your own things, but generally a little bit finicky. There's Fear of Isolation, so you can re-trigger your Enters the Battlefield effects. Though it is a must, so you can't do it. You don't have the option of whether or not to do it. I think I might take it, though. It's kind of a weird pack, and I feel like this could be a good synergy piece. Other than that, I would probably take Seized from Slumber as a good kill spell. Okay. So now we went green card, black card, blue card, and I think our cards are probably rank ordered. Like this card's probably the best of the 3, then the Worm, and then the Fear. By a wide margin, Fear is in last. There is a Coordinated Clobbering, which is a great removal spell in green, and one that I'd be happy to play. There is Live or Die, which is also a solid card in black. You can bring back your creatures, and you can use it as a kill spell in a pinch. And then there's Scorching Dragonfire, which is a really good red removal spell. So those are the 3 main options I'm considering here. I think that I would rather have a Coordinated Clobbering, not only because I think it's probably better than Scorching Dragonfire in some instances, it just does a lot of damage. It's a more efficient way to kill things, and there's a green theme of survivors that care about being tapped, and this gives you a way to tap them. But also just lets me increase the odds of playing Balustrade Worm, and I think Clobbering is a little bit better than Live or Die, unless you're specifically in a deck that has big creatures to try and reanimate. Okay. I'm pretty happy here taking a Spineseeker Centipede, though there is an option to take a baseball bat and potentially speculate into green-white. So those are the main options I'm considering here. Either a generically powerful 3-mana card that just does a lot of good stuff. The baseball bat, which is really good in green-white, probably. I mean, I don't have as much experience with the set. This is very early days in the early access event. I think I should thank Wizards of the Coast for the free preview account in the early access event. I hope I did. But yeah, thanks to them for letting me record this early. But yeah, this card's pretty good. I think if you're playing green-white, lets you enable attacks and stuff. And then Tunnel Surveyor is a really, really good card that could potentially be useful here. I think I'm going to take the Centipede, though, because it increases my odds still of being able to play black. And that's something I don't want to have to worry about. Like, if I can get deep into green, then I won't have to worry about, like, my second color as much. Under the Skin is a really good card. Lets you get back key permanents from your graveyard, so you can bring back Slasher if it dies, or your Centipede if it dies, or Worm. There's also Monstrous Emergence as a kill spell that is pretty powerful. But I think I'd rather take Under the Skin here. I think it's going to do more work for me and be more useful. One kind of cutesy little combo you can use with Fear of Isolation, you can return permanents. So if you manifest Dread, like a really good instant or sorcery with Under the Skin, then you can return that manifest to your hand, and then you have access to the instant or sorcery with Fear of Isolation. So that's kind of a cool synergy to be aware of. Monstrous Emergence is good, but I would rather have Under the Skin here, I think. It's like a power pick versus like filling a need in my deck at the moment. Okay, Unwilling Vessel, enchantment. So I'm not really in an enchantment color pair. I think blue-black might be that kind of direction, blue-white, but not as much blue-green. And green is the color I'm playing here with my 4 green cards, which are all pretty good. There is a Attic if I wanted to go that direction. I don't think I want to, though. I'm really leaning towards taking this Terramorphic Expanse or just taking Frantic Strength to stay green. And I think I'll take the Terramorphic Expanse. Unstoppable Slasher is a splashable card. Fear of Isolation is not really a card I'd splash, but I could see being a blue-green deck that wants to splash black for the Slasher. And Terramorphic Expanse makes that happen a little bit easier. There's a Watchdog now. The thing is about taking a green card here is it's guaranteed to make my deck pretty much if it's a solid green card. Whereas taking a different card, like if I was to take the Addict, it's not guaranteed to make my deck because I might not play black. Teddy is not my favorite card. I don't love giving my opponent's card draw, even though being an artifact creature is potentially valuable in terms of helping enable Delirium for my cards like the Spine Seeker Centipede or the Balustrade Worm. I think I'll be able to maybe get some better ones. I'm just going to take the Wary Watchdog to help fill my graveyard, filter my draws. And I'm pretty happy with that. Wow, we wield Flesh Burrower. I think this card's great. It is a Death Touch creature that can help other creatures attack by giving them Death Touch. Death Touch is one of the best mechanics in Limited. It plays really well with Coordinated Clobbering because the creatures are the ones dealing the damage. So it's going to be a really good synergy piece there. And overall, just a card that I like. I think Death Touch, as I said, is just a really good mechanic, and this is going to help you get that onto more of your creatures, even if it's only temporarily. It also plays really well with Trample, so like you play Flesh Burrower and attack with your Trample Haster, then you can Trample over. You deal like 1 damage to any blocking creatures, and then Trample over for the rest. Here, I think it's between the Long Neck and the Campground. The reason to take the Campground is if I end up playing blue-green, and I want to splash white, I'm kind of a free white source on the way there, and I don't think Long Neck is particularly good. As a 3-drop that still trades with Manifest Dread creatures, it's just not that like necessary. Okay, and then I get Fear of Lost Teeth. It was the best black card in that pack. It's still the best black card in this pack. I could also just take Bear Trap. I'm going to take Bear Trap. It's an artifact. It's going to be a little bit harder to get artifacts to enable Delirium. And this one's totally serviceable. Similar to what I just said about the Abandoned Campground, I don't think I need the Friendly Teddy, but the Campground, the Manor, will do the similar thing where if I end up playing green-black, I'm part of a way towards a white splash. Get Out's actually kind of funny because you can return your own value rooms to your hand and just get tons of value. Pack 2. Well, immediately my eye is drawn to the Beastie Beatdown. Not a card that I can really splash in this spot, I think, because I don't have any red sources, but this card is really, really good. And I could just move into red to try and play it. There is also Chainsaw, which is a really, really good red card as well. when a creature dies, it just makes the chainsaw better, and then all of your creatures just become Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan or Super Saiyan. Most people say Super Saiyan, and by most I mean everyone except me, and even then, most of the time I say Super Saiyan. But chainsaw stuff just dies, and it does good work. There is Duskmourn's Domination as like a kind of a removal spell, 2-for-1 blend. And then there's Spineseeker's Centipede. I'm really tempted to just take Chainsaw. Pretty splashable card. And just feels like it'll do some good work. Yeah, we'll do it. I think I can also maybe get some red cards in this pack because I did not pass many red cards, which means that I could just do the classic bait and switch where you're flexible enough to play the color. And in this situation, I'm like, okay, well, I have enough green cards. Like I have 1. This is not a green card, but I'll be able to play it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 green cards coming out of pack 1. And so I'll just be able to like take Chainsaw. I could even switch into red. I could take like Glassworks Shattered Yard here if I really wanted to. Or I could just take Manifest Dread as a 2-drop. That's pretty good in my deck. Yeah, I'll take Glassworks. I'll just shift into red a little bit here. It does kind of hose the person that was passing to be in pack 1, but quite frankly, I don't care about them at all because I'd rather make my own deck the best it can be. I mean, you do kind of want to cooperate with your neighbors generally. Okay, well, now we'll take Simone. Unfortunately, my lands don't really support this direction I've gone here, but Simone is really, really good. You play this on turn 3 and immediately comes with a 3/3. If you play it on turn 5, you'll get a 5/5 with it just for 3 mana. It's so good. And this is one of the benefits of being flexible, sticking to one color, is that you can then just start to make more ambitious choices down the line. I don't have to play red, but Simone is definitely the pickup here. There's Torment, but I don't need to play the Slasher. Or I could just do some kind of... It is funny that these lands are both for white mana, and that's like the one color I'm not interested in at all right now. But Simone is really, really nice. I could play blue, green, splash red. Maybe even splash black if I'm super ambitious. But for now, blue, green, splash red seems like a good spot to be. That is one argument against taking Chainsaw, as I already had like multiple cards to splash, but I could have also just been green black still at that point because my blue cards aren't anything. This isn't really a card I'm looking to play. So this is a land that helps me with black green. All of a sudden, lands have gone way up in my priority because every land I get that maybe helps me play my good cards is that much closer to being like a good card itself almost. If this deals damage, I get to draw that many cards. Pretty good with Manifest Dread if I can like manifest it and then flip it over. That card's okay. I'm just going to take the Cemetery though. I'm going to just try to corner the market here. I'll probably wheel something from this pack I can use. Fear is fine, but I think trying to get everything into the deck will be a interesting challenge and potentially worthwhile. Taking like a random 2-drop doesn't sound like that much better. Perfect. Now I get the Gloomlake Verge. Getting all my mana in order. I think Patchwork Beastie is totally solid and would probably make the deck. I mean, even there's the odds of milling Balustrade Worm. Like, you get like 2 draw steps every turn looking for your Balustrade Worm. And it helps you get your other stuff online. That being said, I'd rather just get the mana, I think. Because remember, this isn't just a land. This is like part of a Simone and part of an Unstoppable Slasher. It's like partway there for each of them. And now that I know I'm playing blue, I can take this. Or I could take Haunted Screen, which, again, makes my white splashes looking killer if I ever had a white card I wanted to play. But Tunnel Surveyor is a really good blue card, and I'm looking to be base blue. Though I guess maybe I'll just take Haunted Screen, and then I don't even need to be base blue. I only have a couple blue cards, so I can just be base green and then splash all the other colors. That seems actually worthwhile. We'll try that. Just good to always be vigilant on what you're actually roping yourself into. Like, we don't actually have to be. We only have, like, Simone as a blue card we want to play. So we could still just be, like, any combination, pretty much. This is a black-green card. Another green-white. I don't know if it's because other players don't care about these colors or these just happen to be the lands that have been opened, but either way, it's funny. We'll take Drag to the Roots as a kill spell. Don't think we really want just a random 2-drop here. Search for a library for a card, put it into your graveyard. We don't really have anything that specifically wants to be in the... Actually, we do. We have Balustrade Worm. But I still think Drag to the Roots is better. Getting a free Balustrade Worm is pretty nice, but I'm not sure. The main reason I made that pick, though, is because the 2-mana 3/1 is not going to survive combat a lot. But secondly, I'm not going to be able to cast it on turn 2 as much as I'd like, because I'm mostly going to be a green deck. And I'm just splashing a couple things. And this is a much better splash, because you get your black man in the late game. I would take Terramorphic Expanse over most things at this point. My curve is looking actually pretty okay. The Chainsaw pick was still an interesting one that kind of set me down this path. Oh, baby. Just a land. The Duskmourn's domination is pretty great. But double blue is going to be hard in this deck. Unable to Scream, similarly, I would play it. But I think the Murky Sewer is perfect. Every land that is in my little section is going to be perfect for me. I don't currently have any red fixing, but, you know, I can find some in pack 3. Perfect. This is a land card that lets me get the lands I need and also help enable Delirium. So that's pretty perfect. It's like a source of all my colors. It's like a Terramorphic Expanse, but arguably like potentially better if I can use it to unlock a room every once in a while. I'll just take Horrid Vigor. Give myself another green card to work with. And I'll take Friendly Teddy finally, at long last. Everyone's happy to see the Friendly Teddy now. If I'm not playing heavy into any of these colors, it makes way more sense to just get a colorless 2-drop that draws me deeper in my deck. Because comparing myself to my opponents, it's more beneficial for if we're both drawing a card in the mid game, they aren't going to care about lands as much as I will, because lands become more important to me when I need them to actually cast my spells, even into the mid game, because of all my splashing. Okay. So going into pack 3, I'm looking for lands, and I'm just looking for powerful cards that are in my little wheelhouse here. This card doesn't really do much, so it's not a card I'm interested in. Not trying to move into white. I don't currently have a reason to play white, even though I have 2 lands that maybe help me with white. Unless I see a really good card, I'm not going to try to jump in there. This is just a 3-drop in green. And as such, I mean, it's not a 3-drop really. It's more like a 5-drop, but it's just a big creature. And it's an enchantment creature for Delirium, and it's in my main color. And I'm just going to take it. I'm not going to try to get fancy. I'm not trying to jump into splashing a black-red card that's just super hard. I'll just play a good card in my color. This card's okay, but nothing crazy. So I can probably play black-green as a base if I want to play this card. Surveil 2 is pretty useful. Peer past the Veil could also be good, like a 4-mana draw 4. I think it's mainly between these two. The question is, do I need another red card? Or would I rather just go a little bit deeper, get some black going, and then maybe choose black as a secondary color? And then splash blue and splash red. I don't really want to play Enter the Enigma anyway. I'll just take the Brood Spinner. Seems pretty useful. This card's great. Fear of Burning Alive is also really good. I just don't think I'm going to be able to get double red. Ride of the Moth, pretty useful. But I'm not going to be able to flash it back because I don't want to play more than 1 Plains, even if I was to play a Plains. That would just be really hard to use. I think I'll just take this card, even though I could probably just take the Fanatic and it'd be easier to cast. I think Unnerving Grasp is enough better that it's worth taking here. I think this is honestly the best card, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get back into red-green base. And I do really, really value, as you can probably tell, the double pips versus single pips. I'll take a Comeback Wrong. So basically you can kill a creature, and then you get to bring it back onto your side of the field. So if it has an enters the battlefield effect, you'll get it. Which is pretty useful. Or if it has haste, you can hit them with it or things like that. I wouldn't mind a Wary Watchdog. Or a rat, honestly, but this is going to be better for me. Let's once again look at my curve here. I'm not trying to play Give Into Violence, though I could see it being potentially useful. But like, of my 2-drops, almost all of them are green. Not really trying to play... This isn't really a combat trick deck. So like, you'll notice the first thing I always click on pretty much is the land. It just helps me out a lot. This card, if you could get to 6 black pips, it would be useful, but that's just never going to happen in limited. Unless you're like mono black. This also just loses you the game now that I'm reading it again. You just like draw 2 cards and you deck yourself before the game ends. Perfect. Helps me get another basic. It's in my main color. Feeling pretty good about these things. I'm also feeling pretty good that I don't have the Patchwork Beastie, because the Beastie mills me a card, and if I'm milling cards without any control over it, it will eventually cause me to mill over lands that I'm trying to search up with my search effects. Wouldn't mind a Tunnel Surveyor or a Rat, but I'll just keep taking the lands. Help me out here. Because remember, the land is not just like the land. The land is like, it's not like, oh, this card's better than the land. It's like this card is like versus the next best card for my deck, which I have plenty of cards to put in my deck. So this card's like quite good, but I'm not playing red that heavily. My creature count is 11, so I've got a few creatures, but some of my things like this make a creature. This is blue-black. I'll just keep taking lands. I'm going to be all right. And this is the last chance to get a land. Yeah, this is not a card I want to play. Another bear trap. This is more of an early drop, and I'm not going to be able to get that going. Fanatic of the Harrowing seems okay. Could also take a Spectral Snatcher. I'll go with the Fanatic, though. Got me an Innocuous Rat. Rat. Teddy. This is an interesting spot because I don't have a lot of expensive cards, but I have a pretty good late game deck still, I think. Like, a lot of my cheap cards have stuff they can do in the late game. So we'll consider Give Into Violence. The life gain could actually be pretty relevant here. Okay, we're going to cut the Abandoned Campground and the Neglected Manor right off the bat. We need to have at least one of each basic, so that's done. Because we need to be able to search them up. This card seems good. The Teddies actually seem okay. This is like an extra land. So I probably will want to shave a land so I don't flood out horribly every game. This guy can search up lands too. Yeah, so shaving a land seems pretty good here. I don't know if I need Give Into Violence. Don't think I need 2 bear traps or 2 friendly teddies, honestly. I have enough artifacts to get into the graveyard, and I don't have that many delirium cards anyway. So this gives me, for my 2 red cards, it gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 red sources. That's awesome. Blue is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here as well. I guess this is 8. 8 for both of them. Pretty awesome for 2 cards. Black, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 black sources. Then green is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green sources. So I do really want another green source. So I'm just going to add this and cut a swamp. And then anything else I want here. I'm going to cut the rat and add in this teddy. Just because I want another artifact for my few delirium cards. And also I think it'll be nice to just filter my draws a little bit. Yep, this should be pretty good. Oh, also this is a source of my colors. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how this does, though. I am currently a little bit worried about my late game, but we can always try things out, tweak things if they don't seem like they're fitting. Actually, maybe we want to cut Teddy for another bear trap. Yeah, bear trap. Cool. Well, I'm excited to see this in action, and I'll see you folks in the games. Before I get to the games, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons who support my channel at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. If you have been enjoying my videos, finding them helpful, if they've been helping you have more fun playing Magic the Gathering, then becoming a Patreon supporter is the best way to help me make more videos going forward. You'll also gain access to some exclusive rewards like my card-by-card draft tier list for Duskmourn and also my format thoughts document for Duskmourn, where I write some detailed analysis to help you do better in your drafts. I want to give a special shout out to those who support at the credits level. It really does make a big difference. And I just want to thank everyone on the Patreon in general. It does really help the channel grow and thrive. Without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round number 1. I am going to be playing 5 rounds with this deck, unless I lose before that, but that way I can try as many decks as possible in this event. I'll keep this. I don't need to play the bear trap right away, so I'm just going to fetch up my swamp. Definitely don't need a forest. No need to try and make a bad trade. Gonna get blue. Okay, so they're showing off their stuff. They get to surveil twice. So they basically turned Innocuous Rat into 2/2/2s. They spent 2 cards and 3 mana for 2/2/2s. Pretty reasonable. I don't need to go crazy. I'm trying to figure out which one of these is going to be better for them. This card, ironically, pretty funny how that one plays out with the counters it has on it. So how does this work? So they lose half their life when it deals damage. So I would hit them for 5, 8. They would go to 12, and then lose half their life and go to 6. Or I hit them for 5. They go to 15 and they lose 8, they go to 7. So yeah, trading off here makes sense. I'll keep that on top. Mm-hmm. They're going to get to resolve their thing. They whiff. Perfect. So that was the benefit of that play. It's vulnerable now, but... And especially because it has counters on it. It's not the perfect situation for it, but, you know. It still hit him for 1 billion damage. And it's a 5-1, essentially. Gonna activate Haunted Screen. They're reanimating something. A rat? Sure, we'll go for lethal. Got him. Nice. And we even had a drag to the roots if they had like a flash spell or something. Pretty nice. Nice little win there. Lessons learned. I mean, our deck didn't need any, like, this thing being like basically a 7/7. Nice. We have a lot of big things to do without actually them costing a lot, which is such a good combo because it means we have always got stuff to do in the early turns and the later turns. Mana felt smooth as butter that time. Is that the saying? Smooth as silk. Smooth as water off a duck's back. There's a Far Side comic where it's just like a bunch of scientists in a lab and then the board just has like a bunch of liquids and then it says off a duck's back and it just says like milk, orange juice, and then one of them says acid and there's a big X through it. Explaining comics that other people can't see but you can see perfectly in your mind's eye is always it's really the key to comedy, is what I've been told, is random comic references. But yeah, that was a pretty good game, I think. Good demonstration of the deck's power. Also a good demonstration of patience, where we were not in a rush to trade things off. They played a couple of cards that matched up very favorably with our 3-1, and we didn't get too eager to trade them off. We were just like, okay, we'll just take our time here. Just very sedate, which I think is important. You don't have to make your bad trades. You can just keep your guys back, force them to use removal spells on things, and be patient. You don't want to over push your luck, especially if you feel like you have some sort of inevitability, like you have a couple of good cards to draw. That's the really important thing when you play these slower strategies, is if you don't have a good card to draw, you're going to be in trouble because your opponent, if they're going into late game, they might have a better card to draw. So we have blue, black, green, red. Perfect. We will fetch our mountain. I'm really excited to see how Chainsaw does. It's one of those cards that I like, in theory, looks good to me, but it's going to be experimental. We're against white-black again. So this is a land. I kind of need lands right now. So I have one more land, and then I'll be able to play this one. I actually don't think I need that land. Especially because it comes in tapped. Like there, I was hoping to draw an untapped land that I could use to cast some of these spells. Like the Slasher. So they look like they're missing lands too. The purpose of the Slasher is to attack. It's mildly terrifying. By mildly, I mean very, very terrifying. I don't need the Flesh Burrower. This will find me a land next turn. Is that good enough? I don't think so. I already have stuff that I can do that can find me a land. Currently have creature and land in here. Play this next turn, but it won't do me anything. I could play this into Fear of Exposure, maybe? No, I won't have the mana. They can chump to try and save life. Oh. Okay, the twins. Perfect. Because then I can just play this thing as the Shattered Yard. So I get to kill both things because of the Death Touch. I could also equip this. It's a lethal threat. It has been exiled. I'll play my Trampler. It's lethal combined with this. So I can force this to block it. Hopefully it works. This has been like, I must say, in terms of how their draw has lined up against what I've had, playing this as your only creature and then only removal spells to back it up is pretty impressive. I guess they played twins too. This card's also like basically unbeatable, so the fact that I was this close, like if they didn't have a removal spell there, they were gonna have to trade it off, which was pretty nice. Did I mess that up? Wait, if I had this in play, oh, no, it costs 3, so I would have to go. And I also don't have double red mana. Because I had to go attack, like 4, unlock 4, which would be 9 mana. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this would already have to be in play. Yeah, that card's just too good to beat, I guess. Gosh, even if they just killed this thing instead of exiling it, I'd have a shot. Because that plus chainsaw is like really good. Oh well, this just did not line up my way. So if I find a cheap kill spell, and they have nothing in their hand, which is clearly all spells because they've missed land drops this game. Okay, well that one doesn't do anything. At least not enough. Oh, not quite. Oh yeah, this was so over. Well, I tried. I was actually close to winning this game. I needed them to have like not every card to kill all my creatures, because the chainsaw really needs to be able to just like buzzsaw through things. But yeah, that wasn't actually as far as big of a discrepancy as it looked, and that is probably, in my opinion, the best rare or mythic in the set. So, gosh, that exile removal spell saved them so much. Oh well. Okie doke, another round. I just realized this card would have been really good last game. Kill their big guy, get it, get my own 2/1s. Would have been pretty good. This will give me my mountain. This is not what you want to see. A survival creature. This thing's just gonna have to be a problem for a couple turns. I'll get my own value with this thing, hopefully. Not that it'll be as good as this thing, but, you know. Sometimes you got to accept your opponent's going to get more value than you in a particular game. They're going to discard their land. Nice. Wow, that's the card they're using to kill my fear. Following. Kind of rough to be against a turn 2 survival creature. I don't think there's that many of them in the set that snowball the game like this. Like, imagine I was on the play and I just kill this on turn 3 before they can attack with it. Would have been a completely different game. They're splashing this card. I guess I understand. So I just like lose now. Yeah, I'm just so dead. I guess this card is an okay splash, but like not the card I would splash in my green-white aggro deck. I'm super dead. Yeah, not a great draw. They just got so many extra resources. Such is life. Okie doke. I think I said this before, but I'm playing 5 rounds with the deck. And after that, I will try to... just so I can play as many different decks as possible. But yeah. 1 and 2 is not the best start, but you know, I'll keep the land. I gotta have something to do. Okay. So now I have every color but blue. The Jolly Balloon Man. That's kind of scary. I don't have any great answers to that right now. Island or swamp? Oh, I can only get that color mana if I have an island or swamp. Oh, that's sweet. Thought it only came in untapped if I had an island or swamp. So this isn't really a dual land in that sense, then. Good to know that now. I like how even when I kind of have things set up to be like really good for me, they just don't work out at all. Oh gosh. Well, actually, I shouldn't complain. That was a really good draw. And also would be answered by this. I guess Betrayer's Bargain exiling is a huge deal. Also, if I had this thing in play, I would have been able to attack a couple more times. Bum, bum, bum. Artifact creature halfway to Delirium already. Sorcery, and then if I mill something with this, I can bring this guy back with Delirium. Okay. Because of Trample, I still deal the full damage. Which I think is important here. Okay. I think the Jolly Balloon Man was meant to copy this thing, but maybe they weren't able to because of mana reasons. Or like needing to have blockers reasons. Got the win. We're heading to the final round. Let's get a winning record. Oh, I'm into silver. Silver and a winning record. That's the dream. Welcome to the final round. It's always nice to make it to the final round in these sorts of events. Like when I'm deciding arbitrarily, not arbitrarily, but deciding to play five, it's always nice to not like lose 3 or something. Playing against just Lola, man, he's really good, so this will be fun. Ooh, the Patchwork Beastie. This is my worst hand from a mana perspective. I could just rip my one swamp off the top. I would love to get an island, but I have to get a swamp here. Okay. I'm glad I didn't go for Bear Trap. Almost got a little bit of extra stuff going, but Yep, I am going to lose this game horrifically. He's not even hitting land drops, so... I draw a land here. Nope. Okay, well. So rough, honestly. Not a very satisfying final game here. Yeah, he hits his land. It's probably game. Can't play it. Yeah, some pretty unsatisfying losses, honestly. Like, sometimes you can, like, check the strength of a format by, like, were the losses, like, satisfying games where both people did stuff. And my losses almost all weren't. I think I flooded and then got mana screwed a couple times or something. I don't know. That last hand maybe was too sketchy to keep. It felt okay at the time, and then I just drew all, I don't know, all cards of the couldn't cast, and I didn't hit my I didn't draw any lands naturally. Like I kept a three lands. My opening hand had three forests, my gym, then Zimone, and like I don't even remember the last card. 3 lands, this 4, 5. Couple of things that weren't particular. Oh, come back wrong probably was in there. So I had like some options, just didn't draw them. I have a bunch of fixing, I just didn't draw it. Oh well, I mean the deck was pretty solid, I think. Just some of the losses, just if they hadn't exiled this guy or had the best mythic in the set or things like that, it all would have been a little bit different. But if you made it all the way to the end, in the comment section down below, leave hashtag 4color dream because 4 colors is pretty fun. And I think this deck actually did function pretty well with how many sources I had of each color. But that's going to do it for this one, though. Shout out again to Wizards of the Coast for the free preview account in the early access event so I could get this recorded early. But that's going to do it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.